You ever notice how people act like being alone is some kind of life sentence? Oh no, you went to a restaurant by yourself? Tragic. Meanwhile, some of the strongest minds in history, warriors, emperors, and philosophers, were out here choosing solitude like it was the ultimate power move. They call it loneliness. I call it a tactical advantage. The lone wolf doesn't just survive. He thrives. While others chase distractions, he's sharpening his mind. Vikings got this. The Stoics mastered it. And today, I'm going to show you why embracing solitude, real solitude, will turn you into an unstoppable force. This isn't about becoming some mountain hermit. It's about sharpening your mind, forging unshakable self-reliance, and mastering the art of fearlessness. The lone wolf isn't lonely. He's dangerous. Let's talk about why. Mental solitude, the key to focus. People think solitude means pulling a Gandalf and vanishing into the mountains. Wrong. True solitude isn't about cutting off the world. It's about cutting off the noise. The Norse had a concept called einangram, voluntary solitude for clarity and self-reliance. They believed that stepping away from the constant chatter of the village let a man hear the voice of the gods, or at least his own thoughts, without his neighbor yelling about his missing goat. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and part-time philosopher, ruled the most powerful empire on earth. Yet he wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This man had an empire to run, wars to fight, and probably a mountain of paperwork, but still made time for inner peace. What's our excuse? Most people don't even hear their own thoughts anymore. 7 hours a day on screens, drowning in memes, hot takes, and Karen's Facebook drama. The Vikings, no distractions, just raw focus. Look at Thorfinn from Vinland Saga. He didn't find peace in some far-off land. He found it in himself. Away from war. That solitude wasn't exile, it was transformation. He stepped back from the bloodshed and realized there was something bigger than vengeance. Practical action. 1 hour a day, no social media, no distractions, just exist. Let your mind breathe. You'll be shocked at how much clarity comes when you stop getting blasted with digital noise. Self-improvement through reflection. Most people avoid silence like it's a debt collector. The second things get quiet, they crank up the music, scroll mindlessly, or call someone just to fill the void. But a lone wolf, he doesn't run from silence. He listens to it. Because in solitude, you don't just exist, you learn. The Stoics knew this. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Half the things we fear, they're just worst-case scenarios our brains cook up like a bad Netflix drama. But when you sit in solitude and reflect, you start separating fact from fiction. You see where you overreacted, where you played the victim, where you let fear make your choices. A study published in Annual Review of Organizational Psychology and Organizational Behavior found that self-reflection enhances emotional regulation in decision-making. In other words, taking time to think about your actions makes you less reactive and more strategic, just like a wolf sizing up its prey instead of charging in blind. Bomb a test, your brain screams, "I'm doomed." But in solitude, you realize maybe you just studied wrong. In the heat of the moment, during an argument with a friend, you're convinced they were the problem. But later, when you're alone and actually thinking, you remember that maybe you snapped first. Maybe you misread their tone. This is what Thorfinn had to do in Vinland Saga. He didn't just wake up one day and decide to change. He had to sit with his past, relive his mistakes, and take accountability. It wasn't easy, but it turned him from a mindless warrior into a man with purpose. If you never take time to reflect, you're just running in circles. The strongest people in history, Vikings, Stoics, warriors of every kind, used solitude as a weapon. They didn't fear being alone with their thoughts. They embraced it. Practical action. Start journaling. Every night, write down one lesson from your day, even if it's small. Over time, patterns will emerge, and those patterns lead to wisdom. Reflection isn't just about the past. It's about sharpening your mind for the future. Self-reliance. No one is coming to save you. Ever noticed how in movies, the hero always has some wise old mentor guiding them? Yoda, Mr. Miyagi, Gandalf? Well, bad news. None of them are showing up for you. No ancient wizard is about to knock on your door and hand you a life-changing prophecy. If you're waiting for someone to save you, you'll be waiting forever. A lone wolf doesn't wait for the pack. He hunts alone. And if you can't stand alone, you're weak. And weakness? That's prey behavior. The Vikings called it shabarja, self-reliance. Stoics believe the same thing. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Translation: if you need others to hold you up, you're not in control of your life. They are. Wi-Fi goes out, you panic, then you fix it. Feels good, right? That's self-reliance. Car breaks down, instead of calling for help, you pop the hood, watch a single YouTube tutorial, and boom, you fix it. It's not about the car, it's about proving to yourself that you can solve problems on your own. Thorfinn learned this the hard way. He spent years chasing revenge, thinking his life only mattered if he killed Askeladd. But when he was forced to farm, no sword, no crew, just him against the earth, he realized something. No one's coming to save him. No one's gonna hand him purpose. He hated it at first, but that's where he found his real strength. Self-reliance isn't about knowing everything. It's about figuring things out. The world owes you nothing. So stop waiting for some magical moment where everything falls into place. It won't. You build your own strength. Practical action. Start solving your own problems. No blaming, no complaining. When something goes wrong, ask, what can I do right now? Then do it. Solitude forces you to rely on your own mind, your own hands, and your own will. That's power. Detachment from material and emotional desires. Ever see a wolf flexing on Instagram with a gold chain? No, exactly. A wolf doesn't hoard. The weak chase status. The strong let go. The lone wolf understands that solitude strips away everything except what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, memento mori. Remember, you could leave life right now. That's freedom. Nothing you own is permanent. Nothing you obsess over is real. But most people are terrified of being alone with nothing. No distractions, no validation, no material comforts. That's why they cling. True solitude isn't just about being physically alone. It's about detaching from everything unnecessary. Vikings and Stoics knew this well. They didn't waste time chasing wealth or approval. They valued self-mastery over status. Because when you rely on external things for happiness, you're never truly in control. The moment you step away from the noise, from the endless cycle of wanting, you realize something. You already have everything you need within you. Remember that thing you bought thinking it would change your life? Maybe a shiny gadget or some overpriced coffee? For a moment, it felt great until it was just more clutter. How much of your energy is wasted on things and people that don't even think about you? Thorfinn learned this the hard way. He clung to revenge like a crutch. When it was ripped away, he finally found clarity. He stopped clinging to an identity that no longer served him. That's when he became truly free. Practical action. Identify one thing you believe you need to be happy. Now ask, would I still be myself without it? If the answer's no, detach. Solitude is the ultimate test of self-reliance. If you can stand alone, without possessions, without validation, without false purpose, you are truly untouchable. A lone wolf doesn't chase shadows. Neither should you. Path to fearlessness. Embracing the unknown. Vikings were so fearless that they intentionally sailed into storms, treating the chaos of nature as just another battlefield to conquer. They didn't wait for perfect weather or ask permission. They just went, because fear wasn't a reason to stop. It was a reason to move. Fear is the chain. Break it and you're unstoppable. Most people don't even realize they're shackled. They avoid risks, stay in their comfort zones, and call it being responsible. But deep down, it's fear. Fear of failure. Fear of embarrassment. Fear of the unknown. The Vikings didn't fear the unknown. They sailed into it. And here's the thing. Solitude forces you to do the same. When you're constantly surrounded by people, distractions, and noise, you can hide from fear. You can drown it out with entertainment, opinions, and busyness. But when you're alone, no escape. No one to lean on. Just you and your thoughts. That's where real courage is forged. Not in battle, not in crowds, but in silence. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Basically, most of your fears are fake news. Your brain turns minor uncertainties into full-blown disasters before anything even happens. And yet, if that failure does happen, you survive. You adapt. You move forward. Solitude teaches you this firsthand, because when you face fear alone, you realize it was never that big to begin with. Think about the last time you were paralyzed by fear. Maybe it was sending an important email, starting a conversation with someone intimidating, or stepping into the gym for the first time. You build it up in your head, convinced yourself it would be awful. And then, it wasn't that bad. You did it, and the world didn't end. Or maybe you put something off for months, quitting that dead-end job, starting that side hustle, making a big life decision. Because what if it goes wrong? But here's the truth. Not acting is also a choice, and inaction guarantees failure. Sitting alone in silence will expose these fears to you. Solitude doesn't just clear your mind. It reveals where you're weak. It shows you exactly what you've been running from. Thorfinn learned this the brutal way. He faced exile, war, and the loss of everything he ever lived for, but he survived. Not because he was fearless, but because he acted despite his fear. When he chose peace, when he chose to build instead of destroy, he stepped into the unknown with nothing but faith in himself. And that made him unstoppable. Practical action. Do one thing today that scares you, small or big. Just take one step. Send that message. Apply for that job. Speak your mind. And spend time alone. Truly alone. No distractions. No noise. Just you and your thoughts. Fear is just a test. And if you keep passing it, you become untouchable. Practical ways to embrace solitude. So, how do you actually practice solitude without becoming a weird forest hermit? The key is to create intentional pockets of solitude throughout your day. Even just 30 minutes can change everything. Morning walks without headphones, journaling before bed, solo hikes, meditation, reading alone with no distractions. Solitude isn't something you wait for. It's something you carve out of your life. The more you practice it, the stronger your mind becomes. Solitude isn't punishment. It's a path. It's not about escaping the world. It's about mastering yourself so that when you return to the world, you're something far greater than you were before. The lone wolf isn't weak. He's dangerous because he doesn't need anyone. He chooses his path. So stop running from your own mind. Step into the silence. Forge yourself in the fire of solitude.